Parade and celebration. I'm thrilled. Yes. Give it up. I'm thrilled that you could all make it out today and that it's not raining. I hope you have enjoyed Bubbles McGee over on the other side and story time with drag kings, queens, and friends over in the corner over there. Hope you all have enjoyed those fun entertainment for today. When I first had my first conversation with the drag storytime kings, queens, and friends, they told me that one of the things they ask people to do is to create a wall of love around the performers while they're performing. And while I thought this was a very sad reality that they needed that, it really made me think about this event and how we have created kind of a wall of love all around the Common today with these signs and with our support and celebration today. And while that wall sometimes has some gaps in it, I feel confident that we are all going to fill those gaps as much as possible. So thank you so much for being part of that. First, I'd like to introduce our state senator, Senator Jason Lewis. He is not just here for the LGBTQ community consistently, but for Reading, our community itself, and I'm very happy to have him here. Senator Lewis.
Thank you, Laura. Happy Pride, everyone. Really wonderful to be with you today. Pride Month is just a great opportunity to celebrate the strength, the diversity, and is this working? Up?
A little higher.
Lift it up a little bit. Ah, thank you. There we go. All right. Thank you for the help. Appreciate it. So I was just saying that Pride Month is a wonderful opportunity for us all to celebrate the strength, the diversity, and the joy of the LGBTQ plus community. I want to start out by just first making sure we thank Laura Wilson and everyone who organized this tremendous celebration today. Thank you. You make it look easy, but I know a lot of work went into pulling this all off today. So, and thank you all so much for being here with us. I know it's for many of us, it's a huge relief, that we live in a place that affirms and protects our LGBTQ plus family members, our friends, and our neighbors. Back in 1989, Massachusetts was the second state in the nation to prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation. In 2004, we were the first state, as you know, to recognize same-sex marriage. More recently, we passed a law to protect access to gender-affirming health care. And I'm pleased to let you know that actually just last month, the State Senate, as part of our annual budget debate, included provisions in there to ensure that residents can change their gender identity on official documents like birth certificates, marriage certificates, and driver's licenses. So hopefully that will soon be the law as well. But of course, as we know, this is unfortunately not, and tragically, not the case in so many other parts of our country. More than 500 pieces of anti-LGBTQ+ legislation have been filed in other states. Some of these have even been signed into law, including bans against educational materials, gender-affirming care, and books that feature LGBTQ+ characters. Trans people especially have faced hateful rhetoric, discrimination, and physical violence. We must all continue to stand up and speak out for LGBTQ rights, human rights, because, as MLK said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Back here at home in our own communities, there is also more that we can and must be doing. I'm advocating on Beacon Hill for new legislation to protect against book banning efforts that we've seen in some of our school and public libraries, including, as we know, right here in Reading. We also need to pass legislation to update parental rights for LGBTQ+ families. Some of you may also be familiar with that issue. The Massachusetts Commission on LGBTQ Youth just released a very important and lengthy report. I know it's over 300 pages, but if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to take a look at it. It has many recommendations for additional steps that we should be taking in our communities. And I just want to mention just a very few of these, just to give you some examples. Ensuring that we have strong anti-bullying and anti-harassment policies across all of our public schools and colleges. Critical issue, more support and investment for mental health care and for suicide prevention efforts. It's one thing to protect access to gender-affirming care, but we also need to make sure it's available to all those who need it. So we need to also be expanding access to gender-affirming care. And then they also are, the Commission's also recommending improved data collection efforts around sexual orientation and gender identity, including on state forums. So in closing, thank you again for being here. I'm so pleased again to be with you this year. And we'll continue to celebrate Pride Month together throughout the month of June. And I know we will continue to fight for a more just and a more inclusive society that treats every person with respect and with dignity. Happy Pride, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, so I want everyone to take a moment to look at all of the signs that are around the common today. There are over 60 signs here today, from Saturday Night Lights to Reading PC Repair to Whiteland Books to every single one of our school's PTOs. Woohoo! I'm really proud of this because it shows that there is systemic support for our LGBTQ community in this town, and I'm really proud and thrilled to see it. Our next guest here has the perfect name for Pride. Joy Bolio is here to give us a little bit of information about her life here in Reading. She has been here for 12 years. She represents Precinct 7 on town meeting, and she has co-owned NJ Coco Salon right here in Reading since 2011, and she lives here with her wife and 2 kids. Please welcome Joy. Awesome. Is that good enough? Nope, it's gonna bounce. Hi, can you guys all hear me? Yeah. Great, okay. I will when I'm small one. Okay, so I think that anyone who's been married has a marriage story, and this is mine. In 2003, Massachusetts became the first state to legalize same-sex marriage after our state Supreme Court found that our Constitution could no longer exclude same-sex couples from civil marriage rights. That watershed decision from Goodrich versus the Department of Health paved the way for LGBTQ plus rights across our country, which eventually saw same-sex marriage federally legalized in 2015. Since then, more than 700 same-sex couples have married across our country. On the evening of May 16, 2004, 6 months after that decision, thousands of people gathered at Cambridge City Hall to await the chime of midnight, when the first legal same-sex marriages could take place. My partner Carolyn and I had decided we wanted to be a part of history and be there. Paperwork in hand, to be counted, and to pledge our lives to one another. We wanted to be able to tell our children that we didn't wait a single second to declare our love and commitment. The front of the courthouse was blocked by a fully suited SWAT team when my friends and I arrived that afternoon. They were there for our protection. Cambridge police weren't sure how many protesters would show up at City Hall that night. People came from all over the country to protest our civil rights. Despite the guns and despite the ridiculous protest signs, there was an atmosphere of excitement on the whole block. There were people and news cameras everywhere. It was overwhelming. The humans that waited in line that day were smiling and loving to one another. We were a part of something huge. We're changing history. We were showing up for love. At the time, Carolyn worked weekends on the evening shift in Lawrence and didn't get out of work until 11 p.m. She needed to be inside the courthouse in Cambridge by midnight. It was going to be cutting it really close. I had been in line most of the afternoon with friends while she was at work, friends who wanted to be a part of this amazing event with us. The love and excitement was palpable. We were all there to celebrate what so many had taken for granted for so long. As that night grew dark, officials opened the front doors, light spilled out, and they began allowing people into the building. The line was long, and I began to get nervous that Carolyn wasn't going to make it in time. We started to file in, and they began closing the doors. I asked Carolyn what she remembered, and she said she remembers getting dropped off and being overwhelmed by the wall of people between her and the front doors. She decided to avoid the TV cameras and cut through the crowd. When she got close and realized there was an entire squad blocking her path, she boldly tapped one on the shoulder and told them she needed to be inside the building. They parted the crowd, allowed her in, and locked the doors behind her. She was the last person in the building that night. Our friends left. They only allowed couples past a certain point in line, and it was just us and all the other couples waiting to file marriage applications. We applied for our marriage license for later that day, and around 2 a.m., we drove home. The next morning, we woke about 6 a.m. and drove back to Cambridge Courthouse to have the mandatory 3-day waiting period for marriages waived. The air of excitement had not dulled at all from the night before. The city courthouse was all roped off for marriage waivers. They had thought of everything to make this experience as supportive as possible. We actually had a judge request a waiver in their court, and we were happy to oblige. We waived our fee within that judge's courtroom as we waited to finalize a divorce, and they granted us a waiver so that we could be married that same day. We headed back to City Hall for our next step, vows. When we arrived at the city clerk's office, we handed our clerk our application and our waiver and our blood tests. Good news, we didn't have syphilis. And a check for our filing fee because they didn't take credit cards then.
They said they could wait for the next Justice of the Peace and proceed with our vows. We were couple number 86 to have filed our marriage application. A lovely Justice of the Peace was assigned to us. These people were volunteering all day. They showed up just for the community. They showed up for our love. And the three of us went out into the sunshine on the front lawn of City Hall. News vans and people had gathered to bear witness to the unions that day. We were in the company of many others getting married right there and then. And we said our vows with hundreds of strangers as witnesses. We had done it. We had created our own page in the history books. I asked a friend when I was preparing this what she remembered from that night 20 years ago, and she said, I was working in the ER, and I went into the waiting room amongst all the waiting patients to be called to see the TV. Cambridge was all over the news, and as they panned up the stairway inside City Hall, I saw all of you on the stairs, just past midway up, and I was thinking that Carolyn was on her way. The next day, as I watched the news coverage, a reporter was, reporting, and I saw you and Carolyn on the lawn right there on screen, in the background, getting officially hitched. We've searched the internet and have never found this video, so if anybody comes across it, that'd be great. But she wasn't the only one to see us that night, that day, right there in the sun, saying our vows. It was 2015 before we had federal recognition of our marriage. It took the U.S. 14 years to catch up to the Netherlands, which was the first country to legalize same-sex marriage. Our son was 7, and our daughter was 5 by this time. It took 11 years for my marriage to be recognized in all 50 states, not just this state or that state, make sure we had our adoption papers, make sure we carried our marriage license to prove that these were our children. In 2023, a Gallup poll, 71% of Americans think same-sex marriage should remain legal. Part of that increase might be due to the fact that an increasing number of Americans aged 18 to 29 identify as LGBTQ+. I was 29 and Carolyn was 30 when we exchanged vows that night. I don't know what the polls said on that day 20 years ago, but what I do know is that the pride I have in my family and my love for my wife and the life we've created together can never be denied.
Thank you, Joyce. Stay right here for 1 second. The Select Board of Reading made a proclamation in support of Pride on May 21st, 2024. I'd like to give it to Joy today for speaking with us. Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to thank a couple of people who made this day happen. Of course, to our speakers, Senator Lewis and to Joy. I also want to thank DJ Jacob. There he is. And there's lots of other people, I can't name them all, but I appreciate everybody's support, and I really appreciate this turnout. Obviously makes me so happy, and appreciate you coming together to build that wall of love. Thank you. Okay, where are my judges? I have some judges that are owed some information. I need Sue Fitzgerald. Here they come. Okay. So we have 2 prizes to give out. One is for the best car, and one is for the best cheering station. The best car, I've been told, is our very own Eric Carpenter. I'll give them to you in a second. I know where you live. Yeah, come on. Everybody cheer. He's awesome. The other prize goes to the best cheering station. Which one of you guys want to say it out loud? Oh, they're going to fight over who has it. Hi.
Okay. Our best cheering station, we've decided, is the first station, which is the Unitarian Church.
Woohoo! All right, Unitarian Church. Who's here representing the Unitarian Church? Somebody's here, I'm sure. All right, we'll get you your prize. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy.
Before everybody leaves, I just want to give a huge shout to Laura Wilson for making this event, as she has every year. It gets bigger and better, and your tireless effort in all that you do for our community. So thank you so much for...